Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm, yeah. Born and dead, saved by love, count my blessings from above. Though in darkness, have no fear. Light will shine on those holding near. They know that sorrow they will pass. For I know in this life there will be something. But remember that love, yes it will. Love will reign. Yeah. Love will reign. Yeah. In my heart, I believe it. Love will reign. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Have a vision, it's clear and plain. People living life, smiling again. Oh, see the children, they know no pain. Far from pressure, stress and strain. Oh, sorrow, they will pass. For I know in this life there's gonna be some pain. But remember that love, yes it will. I know. Yeah. Love will reign. Gotta believe it. In my heart, I truly believe. Sun will shine again, and love, I can hardly wait. We'll all be together. There'll be peace, peace, sweet peace, happiness and joy forever. Oh, yeah. One day, someday, pain will be over and love will reign. They won't last, for I know in this life there's gonna be some pain. In the end, love will reign.
Good evening. Love will reign. I'm excited to be here this evening. And I'm Marcus Holmes, the love activist. I'm advocating for a better love for you and me. So, wherever you're watching, if you're like Evelyn Graham or Tracy Robinson, and I think our guest is also in the comments, but I need you to come behind the stage. Or if you're on Facebook, watching in any of the love groups we're connected to, or if you're on TikTok, if you're on LinkedIn, if you are on Instagram, let me make sure we're on Instagram. Are we on Instagram? Looks like we're trying to connect on Instagram. I don't see it fully connecting there. Okay. On YouTube events, Twitch TV, LinkedIn Live, take a moment and click share. Tag 5 of your closest friends, 5 of the more popular ones to join us in tonight's episode, which I believe will be of benefit to everyone. All right. It doesn't look like it's populating quite like I thought it would over there. And let's see if we can get it going. Something's happening over there in Instagram land. See if we can get it going. If not, we'll share the link over there so that you can catch it on the replay. All right. I'm excited to be here and to share with you in tonight's episode. It's Movember. It's Men's Mental Health Month. And some people, as this month has been observed since about 2003, first in Australia, so it's around the world, having a focus on men's mental health. In November, oftentimes people go without shaving. Men do in giving a moment to set space for healing and space for conversation and space for growth and reflection. So it's Movember, and I hope you'll drop that in the comments across all platforms. And I am uh, very excited to have our guest, who I believe will be joining us. Looks like he's coming in the room right now. I'm excited to have our guest here. And so take a moment and click share and tag someone, whether you're watching with Mary Evans on Facebook or you're watching with others that are on TikTok. Hello with TikTok tonight, or wherever you're watching us. We're going to just double back to make sure our Instagram feed is happening. Looks like there's a little bit of challenge there, but hey, we want to make sure all things are well. Let's see if we can. All right, doesn't look like it came on through there. Well, TikTok, we need you to be with us. We're live in many places, and we don't want one of the places not to be TikTok. Come on, TikTok, TikTok the clock. We want to make sure that everyone gets this information, which we believe can help everyone in their journey. All right, I'm trying. It's acting like it don't want to help me out, but it's gonna help me out right now. Watch this. All right. Across all platforms, we're here. Fantastic. All right, looks like it's updating. Okay, we're gonna try it. We're gonna see what happens over there at Instagram. Sorry, Instagram folks. Hopefully, it's gonna go live for you in a moment. All right, I want to bring on our guest, and I want to share with you just a little bit of information, because as we try to do every week, whether we're talking from the inbox, Arlene Kirby has joined us. Click share, or talking straight from our heart or straight from the topics of the day. We try to always talk about something real, and oftentimes something that doesn't get enough light, because here's the truth: the numbers don't lie. And in the US alone, nearly 4 out of 5 people who die by suicide are men. For men, the rate of death by suicide is almost 4 times as high as that of women. That's the stat. Then there's the stories behind the stats, right? And that's what we are often not talking about until it is too late. Now, when we focus specifically on Black men, brothers, this matters. Suicide is the third leading cause of death for Black or African American men between the ages of 15 and 34. So imagine a 17-year-old, a 22-year-old brother thinking, am I the next casualty of suicide, or Is there a place for me to speak where I don't have to be silent? If you can drop in the comments right now, if you can and will, type one word about how you are really feeling today, because I want us to start there with the real. Because there are so many narratives out there, and hopefully, with our expert that we're bringing on, we will help you to dispel some of those narratives, some of those thoughts and fears, and help you to get in a safe space where you can have the necessary conversations that will make a difference. And that's what we hope to do here in the Love and Stuff. We hope that we help you to up your love game. That means love of God, love of self, and love of others, right? And so I'm excited and always honored to have Dr. William Byron Reese Jr. join us. He's a highly respected voice in the field of psychology, ministry, and African American male wellness, bringing together unique expertise in clinical mental health, faith leadership, and community engagement. His invitation to join us tonight and him accepting that invitation is a major win for us here in the community. And we are so grateful for him consenting at such a short notice. He served our area as a pastor for many years, over 2 decades. He's a licensed psychologist and holds a doctoral in clinical psychology from the Michigan School of Professional Psychology. He also has academic credentials in theology, studying at Princeton Theological Seminary and other institutions, and leadership in clinical pastoral education at organizations such as world-renowned William Beaumont Hospital. He serves as an adjunct professor. I can hardly keep up with the number of places that he teaches, but I believe he's at the University of Michigan, at Oakland Community College, and probably many others. He's bridging academia, practice, and community. And his work spans clinical practice, spiritual care, teaching, and mentorship, which makes him one of our top guests and uniquely positioned to speak on this intersection where masculinity, mental health, faith, race, and all of these things come into one place. I'm so excited to have joining us Dr. Reese, William Byron Reese. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We're so excited that you are able to be with us today.
Appreciate you, good sir.
Thank you, good sir, for being here. Thank you so much. You are an amazing, amazing person, an amazing mentor, and an amazing practitioner. And so I couldn't help but think of you in this conversation. Wish I had thought of you more quickly, but couldn't help but think of you in this conversation where I think, Dr. Reese, that not enough people, especially men, and I'm going to say Black men, have a safe space where it's okay to pursue good wellness as it relates to mental health. And so I kind of want to start there because even in 2025, it feels like it's still taboo. It feels like it's still, people still have concerns. You know, uh, Still in 2025, I hear people telling their sons, men don't cry, or toughen it out, um, shake it off. And I think there are times in life when you have to do that, but I don't think that's the way of life, right? Reality, I think, shows us a different story. When we have pain and pressure and exhaustion, and sometimes resignation, and sometimes racial trauma and systemic pressures, pressures to provide, to protect, to be seen as unbreakable, and the fear of showing weakness. So I want you to talk to us a little bit about that and how we can help to dispel the narrative that men don't cry, or men don't need help, or men don't need a safe space.
Yeah, the so many ideologies there, I would say. Very perspectives culturally, uh, across the board. The expressions of varied emotions differ from culture to culture.
Mm-hmm.
as African American men, Latino men as well, there's that idea of machismo,
Mm-hmm.
machismo, idea of masculinity,
Mm-hmm.
what it means to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
It's complex and problematic, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, uh, probably the idea of being brownie,
Mm-hmm.
being able to rough, tough,
Mm-hmm.
a soldier, Superman, superhero, hero, shall I say, be
Mm-hmm.
able to protect,
Mm-hmm.
to provide,
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost for women
Mm-hmm.
and for children.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so, but the idea of that providership is worked out,
Mm-hmm.
the ability to earn a living
Mm-hmm.
weekly or bi-weekly, monthly wage, income, wealth coming into the home,
Mm-hmm.
flowing
Mm-hmm.
output of that wealth from one generation.
Yeah. We're having a little breakup, I think, with your sound a little bit. So I don't know if you got to come closer or you got some Bluetooth maybe happening intermittently. But I want to jump in and ask, where does that machismo come from? Is that something from chattel slavery, where men felt that they had to be that because they were so often and their wives were so often brutalized? Where does that come from?
Uh, First of all, I think it comes from where we descend from, the motherland.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that uh, who is the head of household.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you great. Yes, thank you.
Uh, we're in African households. There's that shared uh, headship, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
women being rulers as well,
Mm-hmm.
um, and varying from tribe to tribe, tribal. You find that out even in African traditional religion,
Mm-hmm.
not just gods, but goddesses as well,
Mm-hmm.
kings and queens ruling.
Mm-hmm.
Come to here in America, where you have the idea of westernized society, American society, Africa, and other nations are more so collectivistic, you know,
Mm-hmm.
paying homage to the matriarch as well as the patriarch. Where you come to America, we were here to America. We didn't immigrate. We didn't come through Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty. Way before then, we came here by boat, uh, force. Then now, uh, not now, but historically here as African Americans, if you will, uh,
Mm-hmm.
individual concept, me, myself, and I, pulling
Mm-hmm.
your own by your own bootstrap.
Mm-hmm.
Problematic because you mentioned a key word, historically, systematic race, unable to live in certain places, fighting for our rights, the great migration uh, to the urban centers of America, 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, particularly the nucleus of that revolution, that great migration here in Detroit, historically.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Ford coming to these areas and being able to earn a great uh, amount of pay for days. Henry Ford being the inventor of the weekly, shall I say, the 9 to 5 work week, Monday through Friday, uh, allowed us to establish the middle class, the black middle class. So I say here in Detroit,
Mhm.
that black middle class, not to digress, came some of our greatest,
Mhm.
right? Frederick,
Right.
Hartford, New Bethel, you know, um, True Light, and on, Ebenezer A&E. But
Mhm.
in the midst of that, still being redlined, unable to live in certain parts. The black male I'm talking about.
Mhm. Mhm.
All that money, but still living in slums.
Mhm.
Watching on uh, 2 weeks ago, uh, Netflix Prime, Amazon Prime, um, the documentary on Dinah Ross
Mm.
growing up in Brewster. Uh, and people say, oh, people were poor. Everyone wasn't poor in that area.
Mhm.
But today, it's
Mhm.
of the city, no matter what type of job you had, you know, forced to live in those environments, which is problematic. Can you imagine even the lower on socioeconomic for whites? No disrespect, a white trash or the term of disrespect, like Cass Corridor. Blacks could not live in the Cass Corridor. Isn't
Wow.
that amazing? You know,
Wow.
Scottish people came from Appalachia, I mean, those jobs and thought they were better than black people. Right,
Mhm.
like talk about Brightmoor, that area of Detroit, like
Mhm.
it was some great place like Rosedale Park. No, it wasn't. No, it was not. It was a where even whites did not want those lower class whites to be bothered. It was blacks toward Brightmoor. Those homes were not even built to last. Always a place built for poor whites that blacks were not even allowed into. I'm
Yeah.
trying to picture of that that racism that has existed historically, and now those jobs disappearing, and the
Yeah.
focus placed perhaps, but in our political systems, on our black women.
Mhm.
That's well, that girl magic, bravo, bravo. Uh, and there has to be a place on black men, but not enough because the idea where uh, black men are
Yeah,
now
Dr. Reese,
more.
I'm here for 1 second because I think I'm getting in the comments. I think when you put your hand with the glasses down, you must be covering the mic
I
because
apologize.
the words are coming up choppy, is what they're saying in there. So just kind of, I don't know if it's, right where your hand is the mic or something, but I want them to hear every word that you're saying. And we're talking to Dr. William Byron Reese, who I admire greatly and who is a respected psychologist in the space. So I wanted to have him on to talk. And I want to just share right in here because you're laying this picture, painting it beautifully and adding some things. I think I'm learning some more things. But I'm going back to a time, and it's Veterans Day, and happy Veterans Day to all that have served. My dad served in the Army and served in the Korean War. And when he came back, the job that he had at GM wasn't there for him. He didn't have unions that fought for Black people, right? And he was disillusioned. And I didn't understand that disillusionment. It came out in him saying, I moved us here for a better place. I'm paying all these taxes. You better be in school every day. You better suck up everything that they have, because he felt that he was being cheated because of the system. Now, he didn't articulate it to me that way when I was a child, but his movements, his navigation showed me the stressor, showed me the pressure. And so I'm wondering, because I see that same pressure, SNAP benefits being paused and all of the things that are happening in the world, that the Black man is again, and maybe still contending with all of these pressures, systematic and otherwise, or systemic and otherwise, and maybe not having a place to go I'm interested from your experience, how many African American men or men in general really come from mental health services, and what does that, if anything, tell you about how men view seeking help? There was a time I had to seek help, and I was pensive, um, going through grief and going through pressures on the job. I ended up in the psychologist chair and was pensive about being there. And I'm wondering, is that a part of my DNA, or is it just am I a product of an environment where Black men don't tell, Black men don't share? What do you see in your space of men and Black men in particular seeking health services?
You know, it's so important that Black men own their unique personalities, that one complete monolith of characteristics and personality. God has blessed us so much that we see a beautiful constellation of different types of Black men
Mhm.
in areas, different type of intellect and giftings. You mentioned a key point concerning your dad. When they came back from the war, they got nothing.
Nothing.
Uh, we celebrate these in. I don't mean to digress, but we're painting a picture here. Uh,
Mhm.
uh, Situations that they came back from the World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War. Uh, Life had moved on.
Mhm.
Entering suburbs that we think we've got it going on in now, Redford and East Point and Harper Woods, and those Southfield, they were given, white men were given loans, free loans,
Mhm.
to move to to these entering suburbs, where the auto industry moved that way, the malls. That's why you saw all this, the great migration into these neighborhoods, because it wasn't just so much white flight, it was also opportunity that
Mhm.
men could not participate in,
Mhm.
which caused them grief.
Mhm.
And they were always receiving other ethnicities and cultures leftovers,
Mhm. Mhm.
leftover churches, the old Greater Grace, a leftover synagogue, okay?
Mhm.
Up
Mhm.
in Dexter Avenue. That was
Mhm.
all the mile road, 6 mile, 7 mile, 8 mile. Those were filled with old synagogues,
Mhm.
white churches, and we constantly moved into those neighborhoods, Palmer Woods. Oh, we've got something now. What we were getting was their leftovers,
Mhm.
following them, struggling all the time, and great successes. And what is that movie called? Why have to fight? Oh my! And so we get the therapy and the psychology in my both my master's and my dissertation and my thesis. I interviewed 20 plus men for one, and maybe 30 for other, coming into a psychological practice environment. Yes, I've hundreds of men I've been practicing psych. The ability to have safe space
Mhm.
and talk about what's going on with your unique, how you engage women, how you engage your peers, your men, your comrades. Uh, what was the impact on father not being in the home? What was father being in the home?
Mhm.
How do you deal with a domineering black woman as a mother?
Mhm.
Seek that out when it's time for you to evolve as a man. What is the natural sexual expectation, financial expectation? So when they come to me, can you guys
It's going. It's still. We are getting a little choppy there.
uh, I've looked and think maybe it's the internet here or something. Is it sufficient?
I see this is just perfect right now. So I don't know if it's, as your passionate, motivational speaker, I think maybe somehow the sound can't keep up with all of the brilliance. The sound is lagging behind.
Let me slow down a little bit then. So when they come into the therapeutic environment, it's
Mhm.
good for them. And you get to know real men. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I say real men. Uh, Women throw that word around. Well, a real man, a real man. What do you know about a real man? About a reflection. But I hate when women say that. You know nothing. A real man. You know, stay in your lane and let the men deal with the men,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and women deal with women.
Mm-hmm.
I would get constant referrals. Can I come see you? I still get them in non-professional settings. I get,
Mm-hmm.
can I talk with you? Can I
Mm-hmm.
talk? Help me. Struggling. What does it mean to be young and a married man and you never had that father example?
Mm-hmm.
What is that all about? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Life is coming to you. Your kids are coming to you. You have to be fully present for them. But then nervous anxiety
Mm-hmm.
when suck it up, cry. Men, real men, of course, real men cry. We may not cry in front of one another, but we cry.
Mm-hmm.
If crying is a good word because crying matters by emotion. What is it? Maybe a better word is venting.
Mm-hmm. It's breaking up again. Breaking up a little bit again.
Maybe a better word is venting. Is that better? And is it better yet?
It's still breaking up a bit.
Goodness.
And you're saying some good stuff because one of the things that I find, Dr. Reese, is you unlike women, to me, women can make friends like this, and they'll say that's my BFFF after 5 months. A man typically doesn't do that. So you'll find we might have friends from elementary school or middle school or high school or fraternity or college, and those stick with us for years. And if we haven't developed a safe space with them, then it's hard for us to go into safe spaces as you're describing to talk about the stuff that we consider shameful or hard or difficult conversations. And so, how do you build that? Because you raise a great point. There are young men that I know of, they're like, hey, my dad wasn't there, so I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing in this marriage. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing to show up and then be whole. And, I still got a hole in my soul, some young men say, because that father wasn't present. So, how do you create these safe spaces or seek them out when they're not, maybe not as a parent to you, because you haven't made those kind of relationships?
Well, I venture to say that, we have these safe spaces,
Mhm.
but we have not identified them or
Mhm.
fully explored what they really are.
Mhm.
Of our fraternities,
Mhm.
uh, we have our sports is a huge way.
Mhm.
Basketball, football, tennis.
Mhm.
Son loves tennis. Basketball, running. I run, and well, I used to run marathons and things like that. We have black men run. You know,
Mhm.
dad, we talk with one another. Churches,
Mhm.
you know, things like that. Of course, that we need to further develop because we don't have that the hoopla that women uh, emphasize on their particular groups.
Mhm.
Or we have some men that, shall I say, provide, go back and tell. With men and things, I've had wives to call me and want to know what they say, trying. Then I go off, don't control this, or building up where they have a voice in their marriage, or where they feel afraid, particularly how they really feel.
Mhm.
I have men that come and cry. They cry about sex, cry about being, uh, and then when you get them really built up, to the point where they really take control of their life, their wife comes in and says, all back. I'll never forget. I had a man many years ago, and his wife had cheated on him. Up for but he was so missionaries in the
Mm.
church, you know. And men, no disrespect for all that, but men learn to hold. We have to learn to hold ourselves accountable to one another.
Hmm.
You know, uh, Judith Harris, evangelist Judith Harris, in the Church of God in Christ years ago, used to say, Bishop Jakes uh, can preach a great sermon. He can beat me preaching, but he can't beat me talking about a woman. And that was so hilarious. You
Mm.
know, it's men. No offense. We have to learn how to talk to
Hmm.
one another, because women don't have what we,
Yeah.
you know, we go through a change of life as well.
Hmm.
There's a male menopause
Mm.
where I down, where we can't perform sex as we used to. We can't do the running around we used to. Hair begins to fall off, things like that. So we have to articulate what's going on in space, and it's good, but you have to own those spaces and keep
Okay.
because our
Yeah, we got a little breaking up happen again, and you're saying some great stuff. I just think that the enemy of love doesn't want to get it out. But you're saying some great stuff. We're talking to Dr. William Byron Reese Jr., who is an amazing psychologist. And listen, we value having him in and around our Love and Stuff community. And fellas, he has started a community called Boss. And I want to invite you to go there because I think, Dr. Reese, we also have to seek out what you're saying, seek out spaces, which that is for some people might feel risky. So how would you advise people who, they're seeking out spaces, but they don't really know those fellas at the church, or they're not in a fraternity, or they're not in the Masonic order, or they don't really have a lot of men at their level at work? How do you seek out the safe spaces that are, like you said, they're there, just not as maybe elevated or aware? How do you go about seeking out those spaces when you're just trying to find a place that is safe?
you know, if you have insurance, I would first start with therapy. I would.
Hmm.
I'll the place where you pay somebody not to tell your business.
Hmm.
You know, I've had rich, uh, wealthy clients, middle class white men that go to therapy and talk about nothing.
Hmm.
You know, there's no major diagnosis, but they go there. You know, oh, Maud is going to a sewing class, and my dog is getting his hair done, and oh yes, and we're going to Hawaii, or just checking in week after week. We start from there. These uh, insurance coverages have been on our riders for years.
Mm.
For years,
Hmm.
we pay into them year after year, but we don't take advantage of those services. So I'll start with therapy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Why
Start
do
with
you think that is, though, Dr. Reese? Why don't you think that we don't? Is it that we don't? Why do you think it is that we don't?
masculinity. You
Mm.
know, going back to you. Um, this is what your father did. This is what you're supposed to do, and now you have this idea, you know, where they can beat masculinity. Think a woman say, "Be a man," and they beat you on your chest and all that. I mean, that stuff doesn't really make you a man. You know,
Hmm.
beat me, and I turned out. You know, even our major rappers. What is way out of Chicago? Chance the Rapper or something? They're rapping about, you know, how they got beat for nothing. It wasn't even really about them. It was
Hmm.
their single mother was talk about trauma, you know, and some of that beating gets passed on one generation to the next. Even, you know, the idea of that anger, that violence,
Hmm.
you know, and how that sense of belonging.
Hmm.
Why are young boys in gangs?
Hmm.
Why are they carjacking?
Hmm.
Why are they on the streets?
Hmm.
school night on a Tuesday, 9 o'clock, you go out, take my car, and they're gang because they know young men are vulnerable. They want to, and getting a hold of that. And we as builders, we want to achieve the ability to provide is one of those avenues. I was reading the other day that said, only have a voice when you have money.
Hmm.
And that's true with certain, in some cases that's true. And that's why men fight so hard to get money. Why do drugs they do? They go to the strip club, and toss around the money, get the biggest car. You know, out here where I live, some big houses. I don't see BMWs and Mercedes in some of these houses. I see little economic wagons just as I ain't the way, but just as happy. But again, the showboat trying to, you know, paint the picture of wealth or whatever, and not owning who you are. Insecurity. I mean, such a vast sea of we experience. Must know that there is help. There is that, and you're not in it by yourself.
Yeah. We're talking to Dr. William Byron Reese Jr. And I want to pivot a little bit. First, I want those that are watching to know that we see you, Brenda Bracewell, saying couldn't live north of the circle of Grand Boulevard. Thank you for joining us, Kamal Williams, Autumn Nicole, thank you so much. Rakiba Dismute, thank you so much. Nicholas Thabo and Kay, I see you on TikTok. Thank you all for joining us. Why don't you take a moment to click share and tag 5 of your friends, connections, subscribers, followers to join us in this conversation. It's Men's Mental Health Month. And ladies, there is a brother that you should tag because what Dr. Reese is telling us, use that insurance if you have it. And God knows that with all that's happening with the federal shutdown, you better use that insurance as you have it. And find places that some may not be as publicly seen, but they're in churches, they're bowling leagues, they're fraternities, they're Masonic lodges, they are neighborhood organizations where you can find brothers and be in community with those brothers. And I want to pivot there, Dr. Reese, and talk a little bit about, I was reading something about these different masks that men might put on because there is sometimes shame or guilt around things that they've experienced, PTSD. One stat that I read said about 26% of Black males with PTSD also have depression or some alcohol or substance abuse use. That's from the National Library of Science, the PubMed Central. And so it's not just trauma, it's trauma plus coping mechanisms. And so when you live in a culture where you're supposed to be fine all the time or just pray God's got you or have it all together, you might put on masks. And one of those masks in the research that I looked into was the provider mask. You talked about it. It was a great pivot for us. I got to have money. And so there's this hyper pressure to have money because money equals status and money equals power. And to some, money equals respect. And I've got to look the part. I've got to look good. But really inside, I'm crumbling. So someone who has that provider mask on, Dr. Reese, what would you advise them to do? Of course, you talked about use that insurance and get counseling, but how do they unmask that? How do they go into safe spaces with others to talk about unmasking that need to be the provider?
Um, Honesty with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
At the automobile industry, when they started laying off in like the late '80s, mass layoff, big three, uh,
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't go back home and say they've been laid off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they went to opened up their glove compartment.
Hmm.
off. Stop the world, which is difficult because uh, black men is a beast, you know, beast of finance, beast of sexuality, uh, beast of sports, you know, mule to be ridden, on and on and on. So uh, you got self care on who you are. Marry someone who is considerate of you as a person that knows your person, understands your struggle, uh, understands your uh, and be willing to live with or without. And that's something talk there because many spend their days chasing. Yeah, you know, everything is about yeah, chasing. If I wasn't okay, oh, we got to talk. But you have to be careful with that. That's purity, right? As soon as the woman says no, oh, we live in a world now where things are so crazy, they just lose it all, you know, because they can't take no, but learn to live with have a backup, write things down, find a father, find a brother, find a preacher, find a your circle. Oh, I read a report for men to have 1 to 2 nights a week where they hang out with other men, talk to them. Mine was that's crazy. Can't nobody do all that? You think about it, you are doing it. Right? If you're going to choir rehearsal, if you're going to prayer service, or if you're going to watch the game, you know, make time for yourself because women will make time for
Mhm.
girls trip. My girl, you know, the women tell each other, you know, how beautiful they are. Oh, girl, them pants look nice on you. See them all up in the dressing room. Oh, look at that. You look good, girl. You know, a man tells that to another man, he's gay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, what you talking about, man? But it have those freedom
Mhm.
to be expressive. And there's nothing wrong with that. But men must continually honor their masculinity,
Mhm. Mhm.
not based on what you wear or what you've earned, how hard you were.
Mhm.
You talk with if you talk with Mr. Kemp, he would tell you. Linda Swanson would tell you the bodies, these young bodies of boys that often gangs, carjacked, killed. They're not 300 tiny boys, about 9 pounds, 5'6", 5'7", proven.
Yeah. And in this world where, everything is social media, right? There's this constant pressure to be like everybody else because we've measured success by what we're doing instead of who we're being, right? We're human beings, but we're measuring by human doings. So how do we kind of undo that for this generation that, everybody was trying to get the white picket fence, chase the American dream, live in the best house, now chasing the suburbs, chasing the gentrification, following it literally. How do we then help this next generation or generations to follow to be human beings and not measure themselves by human doings?
Oh, we as leaders, as pastors, other varied careers, we've got uh, to challenge uh, the person's right there in the home.
Mhm.
Nice to have all these different groups, but when the lights go out at nighttime, what's going on in the home?
Mhm.
What's going on? And this is such uh, masculinity is a private issue.
Mhm.
I mean, my goodness, how does a young man come of age?
Mhm.
When young girls come of age, what happens? Their mom gets them,
Mhm.
pulls them to the side, gives them the talk, right? Usually it's initiated by coming on her first administration. But do young men get the talk?
Mm-hmm.
You know, idea of their masculinity or
Mm-hmm.
reality of them coming of age is
Mm-hmm.
be a wet dream or an erect
Mm-hmm.
great. Oh, that's shameful.
Mm-hmm.
Shame and embarrassment. And if there's no father in the home, who do they reach out to?
Mm-hmm.
Their peers. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I hit that. I hit that. Hit that. So you grow up with this competition. Everything for men, who can have the most women, the most money, be the best at sports, even the best at preaching,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
best at pastoring. I like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, competition is by masculinity, but you must realize for
Mm-hmm.
we used to sing the song. If anybody asks you who I am,
I'm a child of God.
watch out, watch out. I'm God's child,
Mm-hmm.
fearfully and wonderfully made,
Mm-hmm.
precious,
Mm-hmm.
and that's hard for masculinity, but doesn't mean I'm feminine. You use that side. I'm masculine, which that I know I'm
Mm-hmm.
a private
Mm-hmm.
matter,
Yeah.
and you find someone you can trust that with.
Yeah.
Who
Your
are
silence again working against you a little bit. Every time it gets gooder. I mean, it's good. What you're saying is good and gooder. Because I think you're right to take off that provider mask and being more than doing, and these measurements of success, because many of them are fleeting and not real. I mean, when you're comparing against you gave an example, preachers comparing against preacher. One preacher might have a great sermon this week and not a great sermon by people's measurement till next quarter. Does that mean he's not a great preacher? Right. So we got to unlearn these measurements of doing versus being. I think you're right. I want to pivot to this angry mask because the angry black man or angry black woman, right? The man is angry, comes home angry, and I don't think people really understand. Just like black women in the corporate, black man walking out the door, whether he's in corporate or not, deals with a plethora, a myriad of issues and challenges that he might try to take on without having a place to unearth them. And it looks like he's angry and he's easily set off. He doesn't want to be bothered when he comes home. He just wants to have a beer or he just wants to do whatever. How do we take off this angry mask? How do we deal with our anger? As the Bible says, be angry and sin not. How do we deal with our anger so it doesn't spill over into domestic violence, that it doesn't spill over into hurting somebody in the street or hurting ourselves? How do we deal with this angry mask?
yeah, you have to realize your level of toleration. Is it healthy?
Hmm.
Is my level of toleration healthy? What do I go off about?
Mm-hmm.
What turns me on?
Mm-hmm.
What turns me off?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just thought about that. What turns me on?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, this turns me on. I like this. What turns me off?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you navigate that?
Mm-hmm.
Why does it bother me?
Mm-hmm.
Why wears this? Is it really that serious?
Mm-hmm.
Or perhaps it is serious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's too tight to be ran out in public.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But what's important to interrupt your whole day?
Mm-hmm.
Not heard at work. The black man who's in corporate life who has power out there. He opens his mouth and immediately they try to say, "Oh, yeah, you're angry and security. Yeah, you call security. I'm giving you a running start. Call him. Call him. Okay, I'll be right here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh. So you're treated differently.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and unless you really know who you are and you can navigate it, it really makes
Mm-hmm.
you know, or you always have to be a, a good one. Like, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Well, the white folk not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we still using like we respect, but sometimes we do all that thinking, oh, make people understand that we're good ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be careful and again own who we are. Who's like, oh, where's my boy at? Where's my brother at? And being able to open up and share and not be afraid to have those relations where there is uh, emotion. Most men don't cry until they get to the right. That was my boy. That was my boy. They came to remarks. Ah, they go sit down because right. Well, why wait to the funeral to let your boy know how much it meant?
Yeah. I saw that just recently, Dr. Reese. A gentleman went to give remarks and it took him a full 5 minutes to pull it together. And I was so proud of the officiant who gave him that space when
Wow.
people were like, okay, you get him. And then he said, no, no, leave him be, let him be. It took him a minute to get to this space. It took him courage to get to the space. Now, he should have probably gotten there before, but here we are, right? And he eventually shared, how much, this guy and his family had meant and how his parents were kind of surrogate parents for him and they were more like brothers. And, oftentimes, especially in corporate, they don't understand that because we're communal, a brother might not be your blood brother. It could be somebody that you're reared with, and to you, that's your brother passing, and you want to be able to be at that funeral, but they don't want to give you that time off, right? So there are all of these things that go along with emoting, with showing emotions, because we've almost been wired not to show it.
But brother Marcus, the you mentioned a key point, and my hat is off to that because in the Lord's house we have to realize. I mean, some people had a breakthrough. You know, that we gave you time to break through, right? We call it tearing, whatever. An extra 5 minutes. For someone to get their breakthrough, everything is
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes time, 2 minutes, and then for an hour. But there's someone there that needs a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Uh, so much of this is spiritual, and
Yeah.
perhaps that young man will never return uh, to a worship assembly, but he
Mm-hmm.
because that church facilitated an environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, black men do not worship for the most part the same as black women.
That's correct.
It uh, you know some just don't do the holy dance. You know, and they may feel it, but may be afraid of being someone saying something contrary about them. Probably be that way.
Right.
But those of us who are in the church, no problem with us. But again, the idea of masculinity and forming
Mm-hmm.
programs,
Mm-hmm.
forming worship policies where the black man feels comfortable, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because the spirit just doesn't move in the whole, you know, the programming is often different for men. Even in religious circles, so much in black America is tailored to the black woman. You know, oh yeah, that black man should be taking care of everybody's child. You're a black man, you protect the black woman, but where that black man she had the baby by?
Mm.
Who's gonna hold these men accountable? And how
Mm-hmm.
come dating the good black men in the church and you having babies by outside men?
Mm-hmm.
Back us, so it's so much that is there. It goes back to the home
Mm-hmm.
and understanding. You'll never find your masculine identity in the lap of a woman.
Hmm.
You live your entire life getting a lap dance, but that doesn't make you a man.
Hmm.
How many babies doesn't make you a man? Does it? Going within yourself. You who are spiritual, experiencing the Lordship of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Steward over your masculinity, over your sexuality, coming in full sense of self. And you're right, Brother Marcus, when you talk about that's a humanistic concept. You keep mentioning, I think it's Abraham Maslow or Rollo May. Rollo
Mm-hmm.
talked about that. I'm not a human being,
Mm-hmm.
becoming,
Mm-hmm.
ever evolving,
Mm-hmm.
ever getting the sense of knowing who I am. When women get divorced, I'm free now. I'm free now. You want men too, doesn't free you're married, or now in that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
sitting up on a woman.
Yeah.
So,
Touch that sound again, because I think it's we're having it. I'm telling you, every time it gets good, we have the sound challenge. We're talking to Dr. William Byron Reese. Um, Arlene Kirby, we're working at the sound. Thank you so much for being here and clicking share. He's dropping gems. I think the gems are just hitting the sound. Now I can't hear you at all.
you can't hear me now at all.
I can hear you.
Crazy. Okay. There's something
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. I want to pivot again and talk about the invisible mask of shame. So sometimes, I know you know this, being the great professional, clinical professional you are, and I couldn't, forgive me, in the bio, I couldn't tell all the places that you've taught and teach. I mean, you just are amazing. But people carry into their life, into relationships, the shame of dot dot dot, whatever that is, right? Men, especially if there is something that they experienced in a trauma, they carry that shame, and sometimes they think it's invisible. We think it's invisible. Sometimes it isn't. How do you contend with past shame, past trauma, past guilt, past whatever it is? You were ashamed that you weren't a good father to your son and you're carrying that forward, or you were ashamed of some molestation or sexual abuse that happened. You are ashamed of, not having had a better upbringing in your mind, whatever the shame is, because you carry that with you if it's unresolved. How do you deal with that shame?
There's a huge. Let me look at it this way: confessing your faults,
Mm-hmm.
one to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's power in that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that in our church groups and things like that, we should be signing confidentiality statements, just like we do in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
When I have my group work at church, whatever, if you leave back out, you know, saying something, I make them sign statements. You leave back out saying what you heard Brother Jones and Brother Clarence and Brother Sam say, blah 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 blah. You're gonna wreak havoc, because if you put brothers in a safe space, a trusted space, uh, they'll talk.
Mm-hmm.
As a therapist, as a pastor, uh, things I know about persons, big and small, I could never repeat it
Mm-hmm.
because of my vows.
Mm-hmm.
Even uh, being attacked in the past, blah, 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 and I'm like, wow, really? But I can't fight back on that level
Mm-hmm.
because of vows,
Mm-hmm.
because of what that person or persons trusted me. Confidentiality
Mm-hmm.
ought to be huge in our circles,
Mm-hmm.
uh, especially in some of our church circles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they say she was married, blah 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 blah, and she joined church and she's single. What does it have to do with salvation?
Mm-hmm.
That that we have to be careful with divulging too much information in some of these circles. Give people a chance to grow, develop. And that's why therapy and group work is so good, because you can plot your growth. In 60 days, I'll be able to do this. In 1 year, I'll be here. In 3 years, I'm going to be here. In 5, I'm going to be here. And another thing too, being in touch with your entire being. You keep mentioning being, your body, your health. When you go to the doctor, what do they come in to say? Is he doing you any harm? In the emergency room, anybody thing to you that that cause it? The social worker comes in. Sometimes it's good to say, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
That's the main reason I am here.
I'm
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Now you talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get those services.
Yeah.
They're there, especially in a hospital setting. Set up before you leave. You may there be for asthma, but tell them you're there for being a,
Yeah.
Get the help. They tell it to our kids if they go in for their pediatric visit. Has anybody touched you? Do those check-ins. Put those 1-800 numbers in our church bulletins. Get the help you need, and be honest with yourself. And it doesn't have to be public. It's so deeply private. Your struggle does not have to be posted on Facebook. I mean, it's nice to be on there and all that kind of good stuff, but some things are so deeply personal. Because some pastors get off Facebook bleeding on people. Can't make it. How you gonna tell me you can't make it? Then you preaching me the Lord make a way on Sunday. Get with another pastor who understands what it means to be a pastor. Go to another married brother who understands what it means to be married and your wife is not as sexually active as you are. How do you go through that period when your wife is going through the changes, menopause, or she can't bear you a son, and you want to have, Paul the Third, those struggles, or they laid you off. You're sitting at home, and your wife is an executive at GM, and you're sitting home with your apron on, making pancakes and sausages. How does that feel as a man when everyone is talking? We talk. Everyone is talking. How does it feel when you're raised in a culture where, even your daughter can't sit on your lap? You don't sit in she can't even sit in. You hear women say, what do you do with all that? Are black men that sexually, always looking to have, always, go to a church, they got a whole choir roll, over their legs. I always laugh at that. I get it. I always laugh at that. Am I sitting in church? I mean, what can you see? Maybe I ought to try one day. What can you really see? And it makes you feel uncomfortable. Like, what am I? You're doing all that. I'm like, first of all, even if I was looking, I wouldn't be looking at you, right?
Right.
But certain things that that black man is always looking to.
Yeah.
In our own culture.
Yeah. We're talking to Dr. William Reese Byron, Dr. William Byron Reese Jr. Evelyn Graham has joined us. Thank you so much. And I know we got to do a part 2 of this, but I want you to tell us a little bit about the boss group that you created, because I'm grateful for it. I believe it's a place that brothers can go, but I want you to tell us more about it and why you created it and how people can get connected to it, how men can get connected to it.
I created on Facebook. It's called Boss Brothers. I forgot what Boss Brothers. Oh yeah, Brothers. Brothers on spirituality and sports and sex, whatever else you want to add there, sonship, and we post. It's about 1,000 of us now. I think it's 1,100 of us now. We started off about 40 or whatever. It's been about 3 or 4 years now. And we post our thoughts, our feelings. We post videos, music, sports, opinions, and we comment. We attack each other. We go off on each other, but it's just for men only.
Mhm.
And you can't join unless you're a man, and you get to say whatever you want. We have people from all walks of life on there. We have pastors and mayors and council persons from all over America, and some from other countries, and we chit chat the whole day, saying whatever we would like to say in a safe space. And some men post their struggles,
Mhm.
and some men are really, and it's not an anti-woman environment, but it's an environment for men only where we share with one another on that level. And I'm surprised it really took off like it did. And even I myself, I say things in there that I wouldn't perhaps say in a regular Facebook post. And I
Mhm.
laugh and say all the time, sometimes I mistake which button I'm pushing, and the post ends up in regular Facebook. I start laughing because I get it. I say, "Oh my God, I posted in the wrong place," and everyone is laughing at me because they know certain things is just for men,
Right.
and I'm able to articulate what I want men to hear in that group because, like I said, in the general post, you have women that will come in and attack it. But over the years, they know I'm going to say what I want to say anyhow. But I
Mhm.
created that for men only, and I find it to be very helpful because even when men don't comment, they're still looking and they say, "Oh wow, okay." I always wanted to say that. What happens? What does that woman have on? We talk about all that kind of stuff. You
Mhm.
know how some men don't like for their wives to wear a whole lot of makeup. Why? Why does a woman have on a weave? Why is they like natural hair, no makeup? But does the woman know that? You know.
Mhm.
But then again, you see all that, then here you go liking what's that woman's name? I don't follow her, but is it Sexy Red and Nicki Minaj?
Mhm.
Kind of stuff repulses me. But you see all these men, they're out there for a purpose. you know, they're popular for a purpose. So,
Mhm.
which is it? So we attack all those kind of issues, and
Mhm.
then scholarly articles too. You know, we have a research that Brother Marcus talks about the data, marriage data, sexual data, you know, sexual health.
Mhm.
All that kind of stuff is there where
Mhm.
men talk about it.
Mhm.
Health issues, prostate cancer, erectile dysfunction, whatever you can name, but sports and workout, gym regimens, vitamins. We talk politics. Marriage outside of the race. What does it mean to be married to a white woman? We
Mhm.
talk that kind of stuff in that group, and it's very effective. So if you want to join, just look up Boss Brothers on Facebook and join us.
Yeah, it's an amazing group. I'm so happy that you started the group, and I'm not surprised at all that it took off because to me, it's an indication that brothers need a space where they can believe it's confidential, where they can believe that they're not being judged, where they can be as vocal about their opinion and position and push back about others and not have to worry about it being everywhere on Facebook or going viral.
And
That's
you can
needed because
say
not
on
every man has his tribe of brothers,
right,
fortunately or unfortunately, right? Most men will say, I know it sounds anecdotal, but most men will say, over 30, I'm not making new friends. It's hard
right,
for me to make new friends. So, where they can have a space where they can have brothers who are common to them is a game changer in this world and time. So, I applaud you, Dr. Reese, for starting it. And I'm happy to be a part of it. And there are some amazing brothers in there. And you're right, they have some very strong opinions. Some I agree with, some I don't. But I'm glad we can have the discourse because you're often better when you challenge your own thinking about why you're doing something. You
right.
know, if you're open to hearing somebody else's perspective, it might enlighten you on how to do what you do better. So I applaud you for that.
It's so private because you can look at how other men think
Mhm.
and thrive.
Mhm.
and how you measure up.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important. There's a measurement there,
Mm-hmm.
um, that we can look at those that we admire.
Mm-hmm.
Some people that have, some names, it's like, wow, they commented up in here.
Mm-hmm.
Know who they are, other pastors, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But each other, we won't say anything,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a sense of trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So some things that brothers probably would never talk about, we talk about it all up in there. Performance, sexual performance, and we talked about, like, wow, I didn't think that. And people say, well, I can't believe you posted that, Pastor Reese. It pertains, yes, that's how pastors are men too.
Yeah.
To put it out there and give them a safe space. So I get comments all the time, even not in public, say, "Oh, yeah, he started to." I said, "Why are you talking about that?" Because people are being blessed by it. I go to
Yeah.
different. Facebook is here, and then when my daughter passed away,
Mhm.
back in January, all the brothers, the church was packed out, but Facebook was up in there.
Sure
You know,
was.
I was just so amazed, at the support. You
Mm-hmm.
think about listening, but they are listening and they are being blessed. So it's another tool by I can be blessed and I can be a blessing, but it's not my group.
Yeah.
They go in on off on each other up in there, and I
Yeah.
back and let them duke it out. That's what it's all about. Being men,
Yeah.
without women.
Yeah. We got to have a part two to this. And before we close out, which is where I wanted to go, and I'm glad that you broached it, your beautiful daughter made her transition. And I did get a chance to attend the service. What a beautiful service. Or I did never have the pleasure to meet her on this side, but from all estimations and accounts, she was an absolutely beautiful person. And the outpouring of love and support was evident. Um, I want to ask you how you're doing and what has that support meant to you as a man?
Oh wow, the support is amazing. And how am I doing? I did a funeral at Bishop Mitchell's church. We did a funeral together over the weekend. He said, "How are you doing?" You know what I told him? I said, "Horrible."
Yeah.
Yeah. We men love our baby girls. Our kids
Mhm.
are babies.
Yeah.
And no, that's my princess, And God is so faithful. Yahweh is faithful. Um,
Mhm.
being fully authentic. And I'm a strong man of God. This is no,
Mhm.
but we're strong, carrying on the legacy. My kids are doing good. Her mom, my ex-wife, doing good. We're all one big happy family, and our families are so huge. The Reeses, the Sims, the Murphys, the Berries, and my grandson just thriving. But it's such a terrible loss that
Mhm.
you carry with you
Mhm.
for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
As Bishop Murphy Jr. said, Uncle Billy said, a part of you is a child that's been taken away,
Mhm.
and you deal with it. And
Mhm.
we will see her again.
Mhm.
Belief that she's no longer suffering. She's in the immediate presence of the Lord, and yet we toil on. We toil on. So I won't say it's getting better because you have to name a thing. In the spiritual church, we have to name a thing before we can claim a thing. And it's a
Mm.
trap. It's a rupture when your child passes before you do at
Mhm.
33. So
Mhm.
we did it. We're having our first Christmas, first giving. Some days you're heading out to see patients and you try your way to work, get up, and you can say, "Pop, get up, get up." I'll tell this and I'll let you go. I was at the cemetery because I passed on the way to work and back in maybe June, whatever. I was at her gravesite and I was carrying on. I was cutting up and just doing my thing. And a bird came up and flew in, and next to my car was just looking at me. And I just looked, in my religious imagination, I heard the bird say, "Now it don't take all that." Get yourself together. It was just so hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
that was such a source of encouragement, that I can say, Pops, get up from there. And I said, because humor is good medicine too.
Mhm.
We're all doing well. We're all,
Mhm.
well. God is amazing, but it's the acknowledgement that is your child and she's now with the Lord and being a strong man of God, and that men grieve, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
men, that's a place. If ever
Mhm.
grieve or you cry, is at the loss of a child.
Mhm.
I was going back. She passed away at the end of January, so I know I hate to see the snow coming, the
Mhm.
chill. There were snow everywhere, thousands came, but the chill of the day. So, when depression comes, you give it to God, you know,
Mhm.
give it to God, and then you don't move on. You live with it.
Mhm.
Speak to God who gives us the victory,
Mhm.
causes us to triumph in
Mhm.
all. So we thank God for that. And we're bold and we're daring. And she was doing mighty exploits. And we continue on to pour everything we had for her into him because he's moved on to reward. So now we pour that into butter to make sure he too makes his calling and his election sure. And thank you for asking. I appreciate that you put that out there because that is what we're doing. And I
Yeah.
thank God for inquiry.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Reese, I have to, in all transparency, pass it back. There have been dark days for me walking through the losses that I've experienced. And we've had inbox conversations and times that you just checked in on me. It's a matter of my habit of what I call unreasonable hospitality to always check on people
Yeah,
because you never know. When someone is placed on your heart or mind, you don't know why they are. Just follow through and check on them because that moment might be the moment they're making some consideration or going through a grief space. And so you've helped me walk gingerly, kindly through grief space. So I'm always going to be checking back on you. And the very premise of what you're doing with the boss group, I think, is what brothers need. Brothers need to know that there's somebody checking for them,
right,
that there's
right.
somebody that will check them because we need to be checked sometime. We'll get in our own way and somebody needs to love us enough to say, hold on, that don't even look right, that don't sound right, that don't feel right, you didn't say it right. We need to be checked on, we need to be checked up, we need to be checked.
Yes,
And the boss group does that, and I want to encourage brothers to do that. And I want to double back to something that you said early on. If you are in a grief space, if you're in a depressive state and you need some help, use that insurance, use the resources to get you a therapist who can help you walk you through. If you need immediate services, dial 988 or text 988 so that you can talk to somebody because you are not alone. And especially as we go through Thanksgiving, and I'm certainly praying for the Reese, Barry, Simpsons, John, all those folks, that large family going into the holidays, because you all have experienced a lot of losses, as many people have. That first Thanksgiving can be like hell.
yes, it is. Yeah, it
It
is.
can be like hell. And sometimes it could be the fourth Thanksgiving.
Right.
It could be the taste of the sweet potato pie. It could be the mac and cheese, I tell you. Anything could bring you back to ground zero. And so you need to be in a place where people are checking on you. And if you don't have that place, inbox us across all of these platforms, including the Boss Group Men, so that we can make sure you're connected to resources because you should not go through this season or any season alone. Dr.
Yes.
Lisa, I want to thank you so much for being here. We got to do a part two. Promise me that you come back because there's some more things I want to unearth about mental health in this month, especially for Men's Mental Health Month. And I want to thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, good sir. God bless you.
Bless you. Thank you. One of our favorites in the Love and Stuff community, Dr. William Byron Reese. He will be back for part two because what we did today was just scratch the surface, I believe, this Mental Health Month for men. Um, we want to help brothers in this Movember month. There's some people going without the shave and reflecting on self-care, reflecting on self-renewal, um, being introspective about what's occurred in this year and what you want to happen differently. But if you're not really okay, it is okay for you to dial 988 or text 988 to get some assistance. We talked in segment 1 about the numbers versus the narrative. Are our brothers really okay? And we talked a little bit about the stats, which many of them are alarming. And I think you're seeing with the young football player and others that suicide is happening to particularly Black men. It's the third leading cause for Black or African American men aged 15 to 34. Think about that. It's younger and younger. Third leading cause. We talked about that. We talked about and the fallacy around that. And Dr. Reese laid out beautifully a historical account of where some of that racial trauma comes from and all of these additive stresses that are systemic that we have to be mindful of and address. We talked in segment 2 about the unsaid stuff, about these masks, these masks that have shame and silence with them that Black men wear. And you may not even feel sad because it's not the only face. There are things that are deeper. It shows up as anger. It can show up as overdrive. It can show us overdrive in your sex. It can show us overworking, always taking the extra overtime to be away. It can show up in substance abuse or being emotionally off. Okay. And according to the research from the National Library of Science, PubMed Central, among Black males with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, roughly 23 to 31% also have depression and or alcohol or substance abuse disorder. So it's not just trauma that you want to be on the lookout for. It's the mechanisms that you use to cope. And Dr. Reese said so eloquently, use the services. And I want you to also be calling your Congress folks to make sure that they don't get rid of the ACA, but that's another conversation because we want you to use the services that are available to you. Don't let those visits, if you get 19 a year, I don't know how many you get in your plan, but use all 19 of them. Use the services if you've ever had any traumatic instances happen, molestation, sexual abuse, you've seen domestic violence, you lived through that. All of those things create an environment where you may be diagnosed. I'm not saying that you necessarily are, but post-traumatic stress disorder. And we talked about 3 masks so far. We talked about the provider mask. And Dr. Reese laid that out. You know, that's why our young men, some of them are out here trying to sell drugs because they got to have the money, because they got to have the status, because they got to have the power. They got to have the respect. And not only young men and drug dealers, we find that in other areas, right? They got to be the best pastor. They got to have the biggest church, right? They've got to look the best. They got to drive the best. But inside, they're crumbling. And we don't recognize that we should be looking at human beings versus human doing. And Dr. Reese says, not just human beings, human becomings. Not just where we are today. What are we evolving to become? What is God's verdict? What's God saying on us being the highest expression of ourselves? That's what we should be measuring our success against. Who does God say that we are becoming? And how is that journey? How is that pursuit? Are we moving toward it? Instead of what are you doing? What do you do for a living? What does that bring you? What accoutrements? What things do you drive? What things do you wear? What are you being? What are you being for your family? What are you becoming for your children? Okay. The provider mask. We got to unmask that. The second mask is the angry mask, the angry Black man. And being regarded as angry because you are vocal or outspoken, raising my hand. I can't tell the number of times, why are you so angry? I'm not. I'm outspoken. But is there anger in there? Is there a feeling of injustice there? Maybe. I write a little bit about it in the Gratefulness Journey every day, right? Sometimes you don't know the word for what's wrong, but you have an unsettling feeling, feels like it's bubbling up in you and feels like you want to take it out on somebody. That could be the angry mask. And we have to unmask that by being truthful with what we're feeling and who we are and getting into safe spaces and communities where we can talk about it. And Dr. Reese laid out some great things. There are safe spaces, but will you venture out to become part of them? And I know brothers, many brothers over the age of 30 say, I don't make friends easily. Like women can say, that's my BFF and just met her 6 months ago. Not as likely to happen for a brother, but you have to get into a safe space where you can unmask that anger, right? And then third, we talked about the invisible mask. You go to work, you go to church, you commute, you smile, but after everyone is asleep and the lights are out, you're awake because you're dealing with the shame. You're dealing with the guilt. You're dealing with the ... that you can't speak of, that you can't tell anybody about. And you've been putting that mask on for so long, you don't recognize that other people see that something is wrong. And it's a quiet killer. It's destroying your peace. It's working on your heart. It's working on your health. You feel like you're failing or your arms are flailing. You're drowning. You're tired of smiling. But you fear that you'll lose respect if you don't put on the facade. You'll fear that they'll say, get over it, man up. So what, your mama died? So what, you lost that business? So what, you got divorced? So what, you lost that house? Move on. But that's a lie. Real strength is knowing, hey, I'm not okay. I'm not okay right now, and I need some help right now. You got to unmask the mask you think is invisible, but others are noticing because you're irritated all the time. And you pick fights. And you're doing things to avoid feeling by coping, by drinking more or doing more. There are signs and signals. And you got to start peeling back the invisible mask. We're going to pick up next time talking about sex, money, substance, and suicide when coping turns dangerous. And we'll end up talking about barbershops, brothers, and breakthroughs, what healing can look like for you. I'm Marcus Holmes, and I'm telling you, I'm a love activist. I'm not a loveologist. I'm not licensed. I am just in love with the idea of helping people get to their next level of love. That's why I'm advocating for better love for you and me. It could be in your workplace. It could be in your relationships. It can be in your home, in your community. And I know I need all of those in my life. So let's go to that next level of love. Let's up our love game by connecting with the quintessential love, who is God. He is love. And he's got some love chapters he's written about you that he'd love for you to read, to get acquainted with him so that you can love him back with everything you got. I'm paraphrasing. And Jesus then says, all the commandments and the work of the prophets hang on these two laws: to love him with everything you got and your neighbor as yourself. See, the self-love is the neglected love, because we're not thinking about loving ourselves. We're thinking about the boo, the bae, the partner, the parent, the cousin, Nim. But what about your love for you? Because the way in which you love yourself is supposed to be from that outpouring, the way that you love others. So if you're wearing masks, if you're angry all the time, brothers, if you're not in good health and not in good shape, mentally, physically, or spiritually, how well can you love somebody else? If that resonates with you, go to any of the pages that we're on now and connect with us so that you can join us on the journey. Go to the boss group and join that group, fellas, so that you can up your love game for yourself. We'll see you next time. I'm so grateful that you were able to be here. I hope that you will click share. I see. Oh, Arlene, thank you so much. Please pass that on to yourself. Oh, Dr. Bishop, I got to have you on. Oh, Bishop, got to have you on. Love me some Dora Scott. I'm saying Dora Scott. I don't mean any disrespect to her. She's Bishop Dora Scott. It slipped out. I love her so much. Thank you for joining. I hope you will click share and get the conversation going. I believe that Black men are in crisis, men in general, but Black men are in crisis, and in part because they don't have safe spaces like Dr. Reese has created with the Boss Group. We have to have more safe spaces. We've been talking about in the Love and Stuff community, a men's space, a sister circle where people know that they can go and not be judged and not have all their business on the street and be challenged so that they come up with the best solution. Now, the best solution is to listen to the quintessential love. He will always give you a solution. But let's say you're on the journey and you want to work out some solutions, work out your soul salvation with fear and trembling. You need to hear other perspectives, because the one perspective that you have may not be broad enough to cover what you're dealing with. So listen to what other people have to say. Some of it is not going to suit you, but some of it is going to spark your thought about what you're doing and how it could be better. And that's what Love and Stuff is all about. You're loving your husband. Listen to how somebody else is loving their husband, and maybe it'll spark something that you hadn't thought about. See how somebody else is getting along, recovering from their relationship with the mother and daughter, and something you hadn't thought about that you can pick up your phone and call your mom to reconcile. We could all stand to up our love game, and I hope that you'll be committed to doing that. Samantha Jones on TikTok, you have a question. I hope you're still there. If you are, I'd love to answer it. So I'll stick around to answer your question for a bit. Absolutely, Arlene Kirby. We got to be there for each other. All right. Thank you so much. We shall see you soon.
Saved by love, count my blessings from above. Though in darkness, have no fear. Light will shine on those holding near. They know that sorrow they will pass. For I know in this life there will be something, but remember that love, yes it will, love will reign, yeah, love will reign, yeah, in my heart I believe it, love will reign, oh yeah, yeah, have a vision, it's clear and plain, people live and laugh, smile.